Hi, I'm Tiffany Elliott, and I'm here with local writer and educator Dency Grubbs, author of Mrs. Modine in the Case of the Labor Day Love Affair Murderer. Can you tell us a little bit about the plot of the story for people who haven't read it?
The plot of the story concerns a woman who is newly retired, and she's trying to figure out what she wants to do from here after having a schedule of work and raising kids and being married and all of that. She's newly widowed, and like a lot of us, we're trying to figure out what's next and how to proceed from this point. That's what started me thinking about this book.
Okay. Well, Mrs. Modine is a calendar mystery. Can you tell us a little bit about what that means?
That means that each month something is featured related to the month. Like October will be about a haunted seance, November is about Thanksgiving murder, and so forth and so on. There's kind of a tie-in to the month and maybe a holiday that's in that month or something of that nature. And it's not always going to be a murder. There might be other kinds of mysteries. I developed Mrs. Modine as kind of a character based on a grown-up version of Nancy Drew, so that there might be a misplaced key, if you will, or something of that nature. Something more grand and important than a misplaced key, but still a mystery, not always a murder.
Okay. What first got you interested in writing mysteries? What do you like about that genre?
Well, my father taught me to read when I was 5. So that meant that I started reading voraciously from that point forward. Anything I could get my hands on. But the thing that I really liked to read the most were Bobbsey Twin Mysteries and Trixie Belden, Nancy Drew, those kinds of child type murder. Well, I guess they weren't really murders, but mysteries of some kind.
Okay.
That's what got me
So
started.
you're adapting your favorite childhood genre for adult readers.
Right. Exactly. Hopefully. It's certainly not going to be 50 Shades of Grey. Which I have not read, by the way.
Would you say anything else inspired you to write either the mystery genre or maybe any particular inspiration for the character of Mrs. Modine?
This is going to sound very bizarre. In 1974, there was a series of court hearings having to do with a little incident in our American history called Watergate. One of the main people who testified before that congressional hearing was a man named John Dean. Throughout this long, convoluted process, there was a woman who sat behind him. The camera was always focused on him, and therefore behind him. That was his wife. Her name was Maureen Dean, but she went by Mo Dean. She absolutely intrigued me because she was so calm, even though they were raking her husband over the coals for his part in this nefarious crime. That's where Modine came from. Although, later, when I started researching that woman, that historical figure, I found out that she somehow got involved with some adult porn sites and stuff of that nature. It was totally off what I want to do with my character. But at any rate, that was the impetus for Mo Dean, was this woman sitting behind her husband.
And so she transformed into a retired teacher in your calendar mystery series. You describe her and the supporting characters as well as ordinary citizens. Would you say that that's something that's important to you, or one of your goals as a writer to write about everyday people?
Personally, I like everyday people. I don't care to be around people who have some kind of supersonic power or something of that nature. I like Midwestern ordinary people. I say that because we in the Midwest have a different set of values than other people, say from Texas or New York or California. We're just different here in the Midwest. Different isn't bad, it's just the way we are in the Midwest. And I wanted to bring that value to this character and to these novels so that we're kind of portrayed in the media as dull and boring and not too exciting. So I wanted to change that a little bit and show that, now wait a minute, we do have a subtext besides just being ordinary farmers and teachers and that kind of thing. So that's why I chose that set of values.
Okay. There is life and an interesting life
An
in the
interesting
Midwest.
life, exactly, in the Midwest. Even though there's times, I'm going to be very honest with you, that I find myself a little aggravated about the boring, this is as exciting as a bucket of warm spit kind of thinking Midwestern life. But the nice part of its predictability is that you can count on it. It's dependable and it's honest. There's no agenda, there's no hidden, what are you going to do next kind of thinking. What you see in a Midwestern person is typically what you get. Do you agree?
To some extent.
Maybe it's just our different perspectives, I don't know.
I think that many people would want to be seen that way, and I think that we like to see that people that way, and that we value that. But I don't know if everyone always acts in accordance with those values.
Well, we do. We tend to put on personas or put on a face that we think will be acceptable to our peers and our cohorts and co-workers and that kind of thing. You do kind of change from audience to audience. I mean, I wouldn't say, for example, to the minister of my church what I might say to you, for a lot of different reasons. So there's that too. But I think for the most part, Midwesterners are a lot more what you see is what you get kind of thinking, behavior.
I think we see some of that in Mrs. Modine's interactions with the various characters that she encounters throughout the novel. The disconnect between perception and reality, and the process of reconciling those things. That happens with her neighbor, and who happens to be in a relationship with a former student of hers, and how her perceptions of that student influence how she helps the young lady next door. So, now you did write Mrs. Modine in the case of the Labor Day love affair murder under the pseudonym Deanne Johnson. Where did that come from, and why did you choose that?
My maiden name is Johnson, and my father, who died in 1991, would be thrilled to know that I finally wrote my novel. He was waiting and waiting and waiting for, unfortunately, he snuck out of the theater a little early, but that's why, because I wanted to honor him. I mean, I love my husband dearly, but he's not the one who raised me. And so I wanted to get Dad in on the picture. And as far as the D, Ann, that is my name, Ann is my middle name. When you have a weird name like Dency that no one's ever heard of, and I've been tempted seriously to create a t-shirt or something with this emblazoned across the front. Yes, it is my real name. No, it's not short for anything else. It just drives me crazy that I have had to explain my name 3 billion times over the course of my life. Seriously.
And here I am asking you to explain
Once
the
again,
simplified version.
It's just, I love my mother. She chose that name. Her choices were Daphne, Drusilla, or Dency. She was in a D mode for some reason or other when she was pregnant. Who knows? She was dropped on her head when she was a baby, I guess. I don't know. But she chose Dency, and it's Swedish, and it means something that I will never reveal. But it's hard when you have a really off the beaten path name. It's difficult to. That's why I always tell people, take into consideration that this is going to be the handle that you're attaching to your child for 80 years. Not just 5 minutes, but for a long time, so be careful. And it's not that I'm antagonistic about my name, but I'm tired. I'm tired of dealing with it, so that's why.
Well, if people are interested in reading your book, how can they get a copy?
They can go to Amazon, is probably the fastest way of doing it, or they can contact me, and I've got copies that I can gladly sell to someone if they want it.
It is available in hard copy?
No, it's
just
always been
an
paper.
electronic text.
Yes.
Okay.
And Kindle.
All right.
And all of those other things, Nook and all of the electronic. As a matter of fact, my next book, which I'm about to publish, the one having to do with the haunted seance, that one will be only in electronic format. I'm going to try it and see what I think, because I'm writing for an older audience. I have noticed, I'm on Facebook, as you know, but a lot of my friends who are my age, some of them a little younger, some of them a couple of years older, they're very cynical, very suspicious about Facebook. And I'm amazed about that. I mean, not that I trot through life believing that everything is always good and terrific, but I don't understand the fear about Facebook. Can you explain that to me?
Well, I think people are often afraid of new technologies. And
You think it's the technology they're afraid of, or just revealing themselves?
Well, with social media comes a certain lack of privacy.
Well, that is if you're always telling the truth.
Which we Midwesterners are supposed to do.
True. But I'm always kind of sad that they don't have better trust. You don't have to put everything you ever, your underwear size out there. You just say what you did today, or, whatever. It doesn't have to be that personal. But they don't get into this arena of access. So I'm a little worried about doing just an ebook. But I've been assured by my New York City editor that that's the wave of the future, and that we really should just try it and see how it goes. And if it doesn't go according to what you want it to, then you can go to regular publishing medium, which is true.
Sure.
That's true. I can't argue that point. But at the same time, it's like, I don't even own a Kindle or a Nook or any of those things, so it's going to be tricky for me. I'm going to have to go down to my daughter's house, I guess, to look at my own book. But I don't know, because I'm aiming for people who are in their 50s. It's kind of in the same situation, that their children have fledged the nest, and that they've moved on from what they were in their 20s and 30s, and here they are. They're changing their lifestyle and the way that they've handled things, which includes the social media and includes Skype and all of the other things that we have going on.
Well, that begs an interesting question. Will Mrs. Modine be engaged with social media?
She is.
She is.
She is. As a matter of fact, I have what I consider to be pretty funny, her learning klutziness of trying to figure it out and trying to not look stupid as she is trying to figure it out, which is me. A lot of people ask me if Mrs. Modine is me. I think you asked me that too, didn't you?
I think I did.
I say, oh heck no, she's much nicer than I am. Because I would never tolerate what she tolerates. But that part of it, that groping, looking, trying to figure out the the device business and how to get on Skype and all of that. That is me. That is authentically from me, my experience.
Yeah.
Because I'm not comfortable with technology. I try really hard to keep up, but there's times that I feel like it's just easier just to pick up a pen and a piece of paper than to go through all the hullabaloo of where's my stuff, finding the computer. I don't have it on my telephone like a lot of people do today. But anyway, that is me. Mrs. Modine is not me.
Well, maybe she can help your readership get a little more comfortable with the electronic medium and reading her in an e-version.
Do you think that it's going to be more accepted by people in their 40s and 50s and 60s? I mean, you're not even close to that yet, so I'll just, but you know, you're going to sneak up on it sooner or later.
I will. I hope.
But yeah, we do hope that.
I don't know. I think well, at least in the early 2000s, the 55 to 65-year-old women was the largest or the fastest growing segment on Facebook.
I've heard that
which,
too.
I think does bode well for people in that age group that you're targeting, accepting technology, becoming more comfortable with it. I know my mom got her first Kindle last year as a Mother's Day gift from me.
Okay.
And now that she has it, she reads on it all the time.
She thinks that that's the way to go.
Yeah.
See, that's what Dina says too.
Yeah. So I think that a lot of the acceptance, at least for e-readers, it has to do with people giving it a try and becoming comfortable with it. There really are a lot of advantages to publishing in that format. In particular, when you're targeting an older audience, you know, not some teenagers, you can adjust the text size. You know, you can bookmark your place. You can highlight passages and make notes. And if you're sharing a copy, if you lend your copy to a friend, they can see those notes that you've made. If people are sharing an account, you can see. You can share things with each other. I mean, I guess it's the same thing as what I used to do when I was younger, and folding down the corners of the pages to mark a specific passage that I was really interested in. And you can do all of those things without feeling like you're desecrating the almighty book.
Mm-hmm.
So, ebooks constitute over 50% of the book market now. So,
the brick and mortar
Yes.
type building of bookstore selling is going by the wayside, I think.
yeah.
Now that I've said that, of course, I don't know, I have two minds on it, because we have a world full of books that have taken down a lot of forests and have polluted the earth a lot. But at the same time, there's just something comforting to me. That's what I grew up with, was the heft and the weight of a fresh book, and the excitement of opening it and figuring out who's there, who lives there, what journey am I taking with this particular story. I don't know, do you have that when you read your Kindle? Do you have that same level of, wow, I'm going to have fun thinking?
I do. In that regard, of course, you can't smell the pages. But for me, it's more comfortable to read on my Kindle. I actually usually purchase a hard copy book, and if it's important, if it's an important book to me, I purchase the digital copy. But I also purchase the hard copy book. So I'm looking forward to the day when you can purchase the actual printed book that comes with a code for, a free digital copy, so that you don't have to spend money twice if you want both. But it's more comfortable for me to read on the e-reader. It doesn't weigh any more than the book, and I can hold it in one hand. I don't have to, worry about forcing the pages open, or breaking the spines, by rolling them over. And like I said, you can adjust the text size to what's comfortable for you. On certain e-readers, you can adjust the lighting to what's comfortable for you. So I find it a very pleasurable experience. I can switch easily from book to book. Just, by using the same device without having to go home, to my library, or, even really to go to the store, because I can access the store on my e-reader. So I enjoy it, but I don't think for true book lovers, that it can replace the experience of
holding a book,
holding an actual book, and the experience of that the smell of the pages.
So if you were me, giving me a story idea here, should I, at some point, I haven't had Mrs. Modine encounter, she knows about Kindle, she knows about all of that, but she's never gotten involved with this whole device business on a personal basis. So if you were me, as the author, would you have her be pro or con ebook?
Well, if your book is available only in an ebook format, I think
she should be
she should probably be all for it. And you might have to try out some different e-readers to decide what she might like best.
Okay. Well, that's fair, that she should just give it a whirl and see what she thinks, and then go from there.
Yeah.
Because I want her to be perceived as a person who's forward-thinking, willing to try new things, and she's not just... I think that a lot of people that we work with here at this campus tend to look at older people, and of course, you're not that old, but for some of our students, they would perceive you as old. And maybe out of the loop, and ridiculously old-fashioned or whatever, even though you're not that old. But they look at you like you just arrived from the dinosaur era. And so I'm wondering how she can sort of fold in both of those elements, that she's a traditionalist. She likes to celebrate the holidays and to cook for her family. She's not a real hard-hitting, career-bitten woman. She wants to have a family life and sort of an ordinary life, but at the same time she wants to move forward, and she realizes that she has to move forward. I think that's where a lot of people my age sort of miss the boat. A couple weeks ago I had a little gathering in my home, and a lot of people my age, in their 50s, early 60s. And for the most part, I would say, if I had been paying attention and really making a mental note, that the majority of the people that were talking expressed a lot of fear and reservation about modern technology. That makes me sad, because even though I'm not in the business of selling devices and all of that, I think you still have to keep moving forward, and if you don't, that's going to make you look even more behind times. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think to add to that, the technology is going to move forward whether we accept it or not. The world is going to move forward whether we accept it or not, and if we want to survive in that world, then to a certain degree we need to embrace those changes.
We've had more changes over the past decade than we have had in the 100 years before that.
Yep.
Some of it good, some of it not so good. I'm always kind of wondering why. There was an article on 60 Minutes a couple weeks ago that the former vice president, Dick Cheney, was talking about that they somehow figured out that there was a group trying to essentially hack into his pacemaker, keep it from
Interesting.
working, because of course he had a heart transplant, but his heart is still not working right, hasn't for a long time. And that there's, in 2008, they learned somehow or other that someone was trying to derail that. Well, that's scary.
Sounds like a mystery Mrs. Modine could
No,
solve.
yeah, there you go. But it's, it's things like that that's
Yeah.
a brave new world, I guess, for all of us, not just for her. But
Sure.
Anyway. Well, we'll try it and see. Maybe I will have her. She finally has mastered Skype, which I never have. I don't even own a Skype thing. But anyway, she mastered Skype, and she's got her cell phone, and she's trying to stay with the times and all of that. But maybe I will have her look at an e-book, and Christmas is coming, so maybe I'll have her look at that.
Maybe she'll get an e-reader for Christmas.
From the next door neighbor.
From the neighbor. Those youngins.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah.
Well, do you have any advice that you would like to offer to aspiring writers, or perhaps writers who are looking to break into the ebook market?
Figure out who your friends are, who can help you, encourage you, that will keep you, because it's a very discouraging enterprise. I read one time that you should keep track of all of your rejection slips. I got up to 82. I had some really nice rejection slips, and I still have them. They're in a binder in my office. But after that 82nd one came back in the mail, I thought, that's it. That takes the rag right off the bush. I'm just doing this myself, and that's why I self-published this book.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a lot of positive comment about my book. But my point is that you have to be prepared for rejection. And that's hard. That's very hard, and it's hard not to take it personally. Even though intellectually you know that you shouldn't, it's still hard because this is your baby. This is your pride and joy. You want people to like it and have fun with it as you intend. I did not set out to write the great American novel. I wrote something that I thought would be fun and just a quick sort of getaway, psychological getaway for someone just to read in a couple of afternoons or whatever. But it is hard. It is very discouraging. All I can say is just keep trying. Keep banging away at it, because eventually it'll all come together.